Welcome to Heidi Reddit Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first story is titled, I, male 25, found out that my girlfriend, female 30, had a male-female-male threesome. I can't get it out of my head and want to end things sooner rather than later because of it. How should I properly go about handling this? My girlfriend and I have been dating for about half a year. We get along great and share a number of things in common. She's my first girlfriend and first sexual partner I've ever had. I never really put forth much effort into dating because of constant rejection and poor self-esteem. After becoming more self-aware, I decided to start making changes in my life to better myself and my circumstances. I started eating healthier, exercising 6 days a week and started CBT therapy. I consider myself a much improved person mentally, socially, physically and spiritually. However, I recently learned something about my girlfriend's past that has me seriously reconsidering our relationship. I recently discovered that she engaged in a MFM threesome in the past. I know it's foolish to let something of the past mess up the present, but it's really bothering me for some reason. I've always frowned on casual sex, so imaging her with 2 guys is basically the straw that is breaking the camel's back. I'm doing my best not to judge because I know I don't have a right to, but this particular scenario is really putting a strain on my mind. After sitting and thinking about it for a week, I've decided that this relationship is not worth the mental exhaustion I've been dealing with the past few days. I have decided that it is best we both go our separate ways so she can find someone who can accept her fully and I can find someone I'm 100% comfortable being with. How do I go about handling this the mature, right way so nobody gets hurt, and what tips, advice do you have so that I don't run into this same situation in the future? I'm eager to hear from you all and your advice is much needed and appreciated. Thank you and take care. A user in the comments said, I disagree that a threesome is common, and you have to suck it up. I think that the issue is that for you sex is about intimacy with a special someone, perhaps you are a demisexual? For her it was, or maybe is, just something fun to be enjoyed. Neither is wrong. But you'd always put more weight on having sex and what it means to you, when for her, it just, whatever. And that makes something you value, trivial to her, and that is painful. I would definitely talk to her about it, about what sex means to you, and what her threesome makes you feel. Perhaps you can gain a better understanding of her view on sex, casual sex, etc. And then maybe it is something you can overcome. If not, then at least you tried to learn and understand, and that is valuable in itself. You could then go on find someone with a similar view on sex, and they are out there in plenty. Another commenter said, she's my first girlfriend and first sexual partner I've ever had. I believe that is the heart of your problem. There is no mature way to break up with someone over something they did before they ever knew you. Ultimately, if she cares for you, she's going to be hurt not only because you dumped her but because she thought she could be honest with you. Honesty and intimacy go hand in hand. People tend to open up with those they trust. You're probably not going to find too many women at age 30 with the limited sexual experience you have. Whether they've had a threesome or a one-night stand, just about everyone by age 30 has had sex without love or relationship intentions at least once. You may have to pursue a deeply religious girl who is 19/20ths or college freshman. Truth be told, a lot of people lose their virginity by age 17 and by age 25 they've already gotten 8 years of sexual experiences. Eventually, when you're in your 30s, 40s, or beyond, you will come to realize there really is no upside to discussing each other's sexual history. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Oscar Wilde. Most people are happy to benefit from the bedroom lessons their partner picked up in their past as long as they don't have any STDs. If past sexual experience is a deal breaker for you, ask those key questions early on. You may not want to know what their sexual fantasies are. That's another can of worms. Best wishes. The next story is titled, Update. I am 25. Found out that my girlfriend, F30, had a MFM threesome. I can't get it out of my head and want to end things sooner rather than later because of it. How should I properly go about handling this? After a few days have passed, I have decided to do an update on my original post and inform you all of the news. Following much further elaboration and processing on my part, I decided that the relationship was not worth the mental exhaustion I was going through. I also felt it was best for her to find someone who could fully accept her and her life decisions. I realized that it would be a tough but appropriate decision for the both of us in the long run. I calmly sat her down and explained to her that while I think that she is a great person and amazing partner, this relationship has run its course and I don't see us working out in the long run. I didn't include the threesome as a deciding factor in the breakup as I found that irrelevant as well as an invitation to unwarranted hurt. She was a bit taken aback by my decision, but she later said that she understood that I came forward in telling her this. We are both in the process of moving our belongings out of each other's homes and have agreed to remain friends in the long term. I now understand that I need to be more upfront with things of this nature in order to avoid similar scenarios in the future. Overall, I am glad that this happened and will use this relationship as a learning experience as I move along in life. I sincerely hope she is able to find someone who can accept her and love her wholeheartedly. I want to take the time to thank those who actually offered sound, constructive advice instead of resulting to name-calling and shaming. It was really appreciated and helpful. I also realize that some of you may think that I am overreacting or being immature with my decision, and I am aware of that. Not that I agree, but that you are free to have that opinion. Thank you again for all of your help and wish you all the best moving forward. The next story is titled, My M26 coworker F29 invited me to a sauna. What does that mean? Hi. I M26 have started last year at a new company and clicked early on with one of my coworkers F29. Since we changed to home office in March, I have not seen her in person, but we have talked a lot on Zoom and exchanged texts etc. And not all of that was about the job. As we both live alone, we kind of opened up and talked about our isolation problems etc. None of it was sexual or romantic, even though she has a slightly flirty personality with everyone, and I am attracted to her, but due to this being my first real job, us being coworkers and mostly feeling there's no chance in her she's interested, I never really considered asking her out, even though talking to her is one of the highlights of the day during this crappy time. All of this is just the setup, as on Friday we were talking about things we miss and she talked about loving to go to the sauna, and when I told her I never had gone to a sauna, she was immediately kind of excited and invited me to go with her, once all of this is over, as her sauna place had a mixed place. She then added, or do you have a problem with nudity, which I denied. I was kind of flushed and did kind of agree to going, but was admittedly a bit caught off and didn't know what to say, but she was very insistent that I would love it and we definitely should do it. In any case, she then sends me an appointment for January for sauna, which was clearly meant as a joke. But nevertheless, ever since Friday I can't stop thinking of this. It felt as if this was an actual invite and not a, we should definitely meet sometime. So, does this mean anything? Was this meant as her indicating she is interested romantically? Or is this just her wanting to spread her love for saunaing? Or do you think this isn't an actual invite? A user in the comments said, Nordic male here. It was an invite to drink copious amounts of beer and vodka while nude. Also bathing in frozen lakes. It is not necessarily a romantic invite though. She might just be from Canada and is just being polite. The next story is titled, Update. My M26 German coworker, F29, invited me to a sauna update. After trying to gather my courage over the weekend to ask her out, she told me on Monday that she has matched with someone on a dating app and was very excited to meet them and talked quite a bit about them the whole week. I think she either never intended to indicate any romantic interest or realized over the weekend that her invitation could have been seen as something flirty, so she decided to tell me about her love life, to set the record straight so to speak. In either case, it seems not to have meant anything. Regardless, thanks a lot for the advice, it could have very well meant something else. The next story is titled, Wife 25F, Almost Cheated on Me 27M, and Not Sure Where to Go From Here. So, I'll try to add any relevant details before what happened. My wife and I met 6 years ago and within months had an unexpected pregnancy. This progressed the relationship rather quick and we got married less than a year after our daughter was born because I felt like that was what we were supposed to do. Things have been pretty good for the most part, but last year I left my job to get an internship while going back to school full-time. My wife hasn't worked since our daughter was born, who is now 5, and we have a 2-year-old as well. The whole time we have been together she has dealt with depression and has her ups and downs. About 2 months ago she started to change, she was working out daily and started to become more distant with me. I've been really stressed with working 35 hours a week while full-time in an engineering school, and recently my doctor diagnosed me with depression and anxiety. Hopefully that's enough backstory, onto the current situation. A couple weeks ago she started going onto Omegle and other similar apps. Last Friday she was supposed to go hang out and stay over for a girls' night with a friend of hers, but it turns out she met up with some people with those chatting apps. I was upset about this considering I am dealing with insecurity and depression and missing us being closer. Then this morning I noticed my car was almost out of gas when yesterday I had a quarter tank. I checked my dashcam and discovered she went out around 2:30 in the morning and met a guy from those chatting apps. The dashcam caught when she was leaving and the guy and her being flirty. He was asking for a kiss goodbye, but she wouldn't give him one, but said she'd see him again soon to hang out. When I confronted her, she said there's nothing wrong as she didn't physically cheat, but I still feel like I've been cheated on. I want to work on our marriage and get back to being happy together, but I don't know if she's on the same page. She says she isn't happy with herself and us getting tied down so young, she never got to be adventurous and our life has gotten boring. Reddit, is there any way we can get past this, or should I cut my losses and try to move on with a divorce and etc.? Even if we divorced as I'm in school with a reduced income and she's a stay-at-home mom, I don't know if we could even afford for one of us to leave. I'm just lost and looking for some advice as how to feel or get past this. Edit to add, should have included this in the main post. Last week her grandmother who she was close with passed away from virus and she didn't start sneaking out until after this, so I don't know if I can blame it on grieving or what. A user in the comments said, no, just no. She went out at 2:30 a.m. and met some guy. I don't care if she didn't physically cheat on you, that's emotionally cheating, and she can do one. She knows how you feel and what you're going through just now, and for her to do that is just downright disrespectful. I think you need to tell her that you are not okay with that, and she needs to find someone who will be okay with her doing that. How would she feel if you snuck off at 2 a.m. to meet another girl? Probably pretty crap. I get finances will be hard, but you'll be mentally much better off without all that stress. I guarantee once you're over the relationship, your mental health will be so much better. You won't need to worry about her being distant, meeting other guys etc. All the best, man, you don't deserve that. The next story is titled, Update. Wife 25F, Almost Cheated on Me 27M, and Not Sure Where to Go From Here. Well, a lot has happened since my last post. I know it hasn't been a week, but it feels like it's been months. I should have listened to most of the comments and ended everything immediately, but I tried to put the family first and forgive. Also, this is going to be long, so I'll try to keep just the relevant details. So, onto what happened. The night I posted, I decided to give her a chance to be sorry and was going to demand full transparency from that point on, and no more passwords on phones that each other didn't know. Well, she knew mine, I just didn't know hers as of a month ago. I went back home that night just after midnight. She was surprised to see me and said we can talk the next day after some sleep. Right after she said this, though, she got ready to leave, and said she made plans with some girls she met on those apps to hang out. I'll admit I wasn't in the right mindset at the time, but I got upset, even stood in front of her van in the street asking her not to go and to talk. She eventually left though, and I went to bed, waking up around 5 and asked her if she'd be home soon. She said she was on her way, and I decided I didn't want to see her, so I left the house. Her dad lives with us, so I wasn't leaving the kids alone. He was aware of the situation. Around 8, when he had somewhere to be, he had told me about, he called me saying she wasn't home yet and was worried about her being out with strangers. I started home, but, in the meantime, he had called 911 hoping to file a missing persons report in case something had happened to her. I told the officer what was going on with us, and they said they wouldn't do anything about it. Around 10, I was getting more upset because she told our daughters she would take them to Thanksgiving lunch when the plan was for me to be away getting space. I had started to go through her laptop and tablets to see if I could find out what was going on, and found her location through the Find My iPhone app from her tablet. It was about half an hour away, so I drove up there because the girls were upset asking where their mom was. When I was driving, she texted me saying she would be home at 2, she just needed some time away. I got there before I read the text and tried calling to see if she would at least come say hi to the girls, but it was an apartment complex and I couldn't tell which unit she was in. I went back home, and around 5 or so, when she still wasn't home, I decided I had enough. I had found more evidence of her flirting with guys on her devices in this time as well. At this point, I talked to my sister and she said I didn't deserve this, and I should get the girls out of the situation and stay with her about half an hour away. We went and had Thanksgiving dinner with her in-laws, which the girls appreciated, then we stayed the night there. It was almost 8 before my wife called asking where we were, saying I need to bring the girls home because she wanted to see them, but I said not that night. Told her I'd bring them home in the morning for her to see them. Well, I woke up at 7 and checked our home security cams and saw that she had left just after midnight, and still wasn't home. I went ahead and went back home to get a few more things from the girls, and finally around 11 she called. I told her the girls were upset she wasn't home to see them, and to consider this over. She called me 100 times after trying to get the girls, texting that she was going to take full custody for this. She even drove to my mom's trying to find them there. That evening I decided I couldn't just stay in my sister's game room with the girls for however long it took for a divorce, and we came back home. Later that night, after the girls went to sleep, we sat down to talk, and even though I really shouldn't have, I told her I could try to work to save our marriage if she was willing, honestly for our daughter's sake, but she said she needed space and we should separate but stay in the same house parenting together. I accepted it at that point and went to sleep. Saturday started out quiet, until I got onto one of her devices and Safari was open. Curiosity getting the better of me, and I checked the search history. It was full of stuff about being addicted to a new partner, how to give a better blowjob, and others mainly about how to please a guy. This was after her saying nothing physical was going on and she just needed separation for a while to work on herself. This pissed me off and I went to a friend's house to vent for a bit, before coming back because she had an urgent care appointment because she had an infection and had to be gone for a while. That night after the girls went to bed we talked again and I told her separation wouldn't work for me, I was going to pursue a divorce after all. She again left saying she would only be gone 2 hours, it was 10 o'clock at night when she said this, and that she would get the girls up and ready for going to church in the morning. Wouldn't you know she never did come back that night, and I got the girls up and took them to church then lunch at their grandma's afterwards. The whole time the older one was asking about where mom was, and it really hurt to hear that. She came home around 2 and had a milkshake for the older daughter to suck up to her I'm assuming. After the kiddo went to her room to watch TV and drink her shake and the younger one was napping, she asked to talk in our bedroom. She tried to admit how much she messed up, and that she was sorry, and she wanted another chance. I told her that wouldn't be happening. I had proof of her affairs and her leaving her daughters consistently the past few days and a divorce was coming. She locked the door to the room and from what I can tell tried her best attempt to seduce me, but I was having none of it. She then said she was going to kill herself, that she had nothing to live for and the girls would get a stepmom who would be better than her. I left the room and she left not long after. She headed out the front door saying she'd walk to the highway and throw herself in front of a car. I called the cops and followed her in my car, honestly not wanting the mother to my daughters to be dead. At this point I fully believed she had come down with bipolar disorder. When she saw me following, she turned around and said she'd just do it when I went to sleep that night. Cops came out. I had been recording when she said she was going to kill herself and showed them. Then they talked to her for about 30 minutes while I waited outside before they walked her out in cuffs and took her to a mental health hospital. My family all came over and brought dinner and helped me clean up the house a bit after this, as it had been getting quite messy on top of the chores she never does. Just 3 hours after they took her away, I saw on her tablet that she was messaging a friend asking to be picked up because she was let out. My family left before she got home and like I expected she pissed at me for calling the cops and getting her sent there, but mostly just spent time with the girls and got them to bed. That night we talked again, and I told her she needs to get help, for her sake and for our daughters. She agreed that she was mentally unwell and that she would get help. She said she had gone to tell the guy the night before that she didn't want to be around him anymore, as she wanted to be with him but knew it was wrong, still not sure that they were already sleeping together but didn't care too much to argue it at this point. I tried to be a good person and told her I could wait a little to divorce her. She was starting a new job Tuesday she said, and with finals in 3 weeks I wanted to wait anyways. She could also keep the health insurance from my job for a little bit in order to afford therapy. Today, Monday, I took off work to do some errands and was at the house mostly. She was acting okay, somewhat sick because of the infection she had but all right, saying she was ready to get therapy and start medication to get well. She said she had to pick up her schedule from work and then later added they may need to do some orientation type stuff. Also said she'd stop by the grocery store on the way back to get some fresh fruit for the girls to eat during the week. I believed she wanted to get better, so I gave her my spare car key and the debit card for groceries. Her dad had already taken the van she was using away as it was his and he didn't like her behavior. I was on Zoom doing a group project when she left, and I looked out the window as she left and noticed she went the wrong direction for the place she was supposed to be working. 15 minutes later as my Zoom ended, I got her device, and even though she turned off her phone's location after I first used Find My iPhone to find her, she took a different tablet that had it on. She drove straight to the apartment of the guy from a few days ago, who I am pretty sure she has been spending most of her time with. I had enough and got a ride up there, took my car, and canceled the debit card, called her as I was about home but straight to voicemail. She had left the house just before 6 and from what she said shouldn't be gone more than an hour, maybe 1.5 hours, but it was almost 9 p.m. when she texted saying she had just gotten to the store and would be home soon, but the GPS showed she was still at his apartment. 15 minutes later she calls asking where the car was, figuring out that I had seen through her lies and got it. After playing dumb for a minute, asking how she lost it at the grocery store, told her she could sleep where she was as she has been doing every other night. She came home an hour later after getting a lift, and tried saying she actually had an interview at a place near there and had stopped by for a minute, and her text meant she was about to go to the store, not that she was actually there. Told her I saw on the GPS that she drove straight to the guy's apartment, then she said okay, it was all payback for sending her to the crazy house. I walked away from her and that's where I am at now. Going to call an attorney for a consultation tomorrow, but I really don't want to leave the kids at home with her while I go talk to one tomorrow. I have some family that could maybe help with the retainer, so hopefully I can get things started soon. Sucks having to do this with finals right around the corner, but I can't trust having her around the kids anymore with how much and how easily she lies about everything. This ended up being crazy long, so sorry I didn't post a couple updates in the middle. A user in the comments said, "Hey man, listen to me and listen very carefully. Do not leave your kids alone with her or with her and her dad. He's going to be blinded to it somewhat because that's his daughter and his grandkids. Your priority, beyond yourself, is being as stable and rock-like as you can for your kids now, because they're realizing now how off your wife is acting right now. You need a lawyer, and you need it for helping you get temporary custody arrangement provided by the court for you to have custody of your children and to establish that she cannot have them without court orders. She's already admitted she wants to kill herself. That can easily transfer to your children and have something horrific happen. Look into where you and the kids can go, or if you can see about other housing options right now. A lawyer can help in this because with kids involved it can get dicey with the police, particularly if she calls screaming how her husband took her kids and ran off. The wife you knew wouldn't do that, but you don't know this wife at all, and I'm sorry for you with that. As for how she's acting, my first thought isn't bipolar but that it's drugs, man. Hard drugs. There's a good chance that friend is a dealer and she's going to his place to not only score but to duck him for her part of the high. Why drugs, you say? Because that's the exact MO that I've seen happen in 2 relationships of friends, one with kids and one with O. The divorce that occurred with the kids was rough as crap on dad and the kids, while she went off the deep end and dove deeper into drugs, as far as I know disappeared. Don't duck her. Don't touch her, and don't even let her sleep in the same bed as you, because I can guarantee she will try to duck you. Look at state laws. You can nullify divorce for adultery by having sex with your spouse after they admit it, and especially if she has an STD. If she's got it and gives it to you, then surprise. You're out ducking around on her and you brought her a ducking STD. So on top of all this other crap you have on your plate, go to your doctor and schedule an STD test to have evidence, for yourself and your lawyer, that you are clean, especially if you have previously had sex with her in the last 6 to 8 weeks. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.